Good evening. Hello, hello. Good evening. Hope you're all doing good. Mark, hello. Lila, hello. Here, say hello. Kupinata, hello. Krishna, hello to you as well. Welcome, guys. Right, yeah, welcome back to X-Plane 12. I have a feeling not many people are actually streaming X-Plane 12 these days, right? Nevertheless, I am enjoying it. I really am. Things are nicely improving, including, you know, the graphics and the performance, and yeah, the aircraft add-ons. Hey, Mark, it's hot in the UK. Well, it's getting hot here as well. Yeah, not gonna complain. Summer is around the corner. Right. Yeah. So, welcome everyone, and flights today are looking as follows. So we're going to start out X-Plane 12, 777 from the FlightFactor family, and then we're going to go Miami to New York. JFK, we may fly that, what's it called? The, is it River Visual or something? No, it's not River Visual, that's Washington. The Canarsie approach, right? That's what it's called. We'll see. Yeah, and then afterwards, it's going to get late today, that's for sure. And afterwards, we're going to go back to DCS, F-18, Rampagers campaign mission number 3. I am looking forward to that as well. Cool. I am on VATSIM. I've logged on, and I'm already seeing some people joining. Oh, look at this, downtown Miami. Welcome to Miami. Where are we? There's cargo. Oh, hang on. Let me just. Nope. Lilo, you've just installed X-Plane 12 now. Yeah, it's getting better. There's been another update yesterday with the beta version. So things are definitely going very quickly. Cool. One thing I would like to do quickly is for those that have subscribed on Twitch or are members on YouTube, I have re-uploaded some stuff there again in the subscriber file section. One of them is this PDF where I'm explaining how to use the electronic normal checklist, so that you guys don't get confused or don't know what the kind of cyan text means, the green text means, checklist override, etc., etc. And also then I've done the non-normal checklist usage, explaining some things about symbologies, what they mean, how to go through the abnormal checklist as well. And thirdly, I've uploaded Boeing 777 flows. So you can use those in the PMGG and the FlightFactor. And I am going to increase that a little bit once because some people have asked for the complete procedure, so the cockpit preparation procedure as well. Yeah, we'll do that. Although, I mean, I have to say that, being completely honest here, it is not that complicated, really. Boeing has really, really evolved. Hey, Peter. Yeah, Boeing has really evolved with the 777 and the 787 regarding taking out some complexity of the procedures. But I sure can do that. Anyways, hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a great Tuesday. And I got some very nice positive feedback. Hey, 777 driver, you're here as well, right? I think I've seen you. Let me see. Are you anywhere? At least I saw a call sign here, 777 driver. I'm not sure if that's you or not. Yeah, so I got some very nice feedback from the TOLIS 320 Neo. Okay, no worries, 777 driver. I'll be doing well. So yeah, they really liked the flight into Ajaccio in the Neo, and gotten especially lots of compliments regarding the visuals. So it seems like I'm getting the feeling people are so kind of still, I don't know, negative. They have a negative tone when it comes to X-Plane. And I think that's just not justified anymore. There is some really nice free add-ons. And I'm not really using that many. I'm using Map Enhancement and I'm using SimHaven, right? Both for free. And that already just increases the graphics to a really nice level, really enjoyable. And then the third thing, X-Plane 12 now is getting nice regarding performance. So, and hand flying the aircrafts here in X-Plane is just a joy. Really enjoy that. Hey, Sheriff. Okay, so let's do Navigraph services. Let's get our flight plan from SimBrief, and I'll get things going here, and then we'll go through briefing. I'll tell you what we're up regarding the flight time, etc., etc. So let me go airplane, ground services. Oh, hang on. Weight and balance, that's it. So fill the fuel from SimBrief. Loading page. Is that only 249 passengers? Really? Nah, hang on. I'm sure I had more than that, didn't I? Let me have a look on the flight plan real quickly. Let's look at the flight plan. Where's my flight plan? Flights, SimBrief. There we go.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Twitch channel subscriber experience. Could new subscribers
hey, TV
please make your way
Rebenjo,
to the
how
first
are you
class
doing?
cabin, where complimentary drinks,
Yeah,
snacks,
almost
premium
777 months.
flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Thank you very much. TV Rebenjo, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for the
Almost
777
months Kappa.
Indeed, yeah. Thank you so much. 72 months, that's such a long time. Thank you so much for that. And I hope you're doing well. So the load is 30 tons. We'll see. We'll see how that that goes. Yeah, so we're going to wait for the services to start going. And then we'll have a quick look at the status page here. Make sure everything is working beautifully. It is indeed. Crew oxygen is good. We've got quantities okay. No refuel indications there. So that is all fine. Cautions look good. Let's cancel those. Fantastic. Hey Ghost, how you doing? An Avenger, greetings. Der Frager, hello to you, good evening. Here's the overhead panel, Boeing left to right, top to bottom, so always this way. And so really just to make sure that yeah, you have all the systems on. The only things that are not on are the hydraulics and the fuel pumps. Everything else really is pretty much so everything below here is actually just in the normal settings and on. Passenger sign, seatbelt signs on, anti-ice auto, nav light is on, rest of the lights are out. Oxygen tested. Oh, hang on, I need to get my force feedback working. There we go. Hello, Cupinato. You're doing flying Memphis to Boston 9. Yeah, nice, nice, nice. So yeah, that's better. Now I've got nice force feedback. Cool, excellent. Thoughts on a 220? I think Lilo, it was you that posted some pictures, right? On Discord, yeah. Honestly, I I just rather just wait until the you know, it's released, and then honestly, I just do not go with man. There's been so much disappointments, so I'm just not going to go with anyone pre-streaming it and hyping it, etc., etc. So I'm just going to wait and until it's out, and then I'll give it a go, and yeah, we'll see how it goes from there. Right now, I'm a bit lost again. Why? Yeah, there's still not route uplink, is there? We'll see. Yeah, Ghost, that's just the thing, right? I mean, and even you look at how the A350 still causes so many issues right now. So, like I said, I'm just going to keep my feet still. And then always happy to be proven in a positive way. But I'm not just going to, you know, join the hype. Did you hear me fly over your house? Just to the Stansted to Bremen? Nice, Ghost. If you were south, maybe. So Miami, we've got ATIS, 09014 gust 19, 283010 on the altimeter. Arrivals 9 and 12. Departure, there we go. Departure is departures 8 left, 8 right, 9 and 12. 8 left, 9 and 12. Let's have a look. Yeah, how about we do 12? Yeah, we'll do 12 today. Runway 12 for departure. That's it. So 12, and it's supposed to be the Folds 3 departure. Folds 3 with the Alira transition. Hey, Fishburne, good evening. How are you? What's the favorite joystick and rudder? Okay, so the Frage, I'll give you 2 options. So the reason being is that I'm obviously as a content creator, let's say I just use the excuse, okay, that I just satisfy my hardware fetish, my flight sim hardware fetish, all right? But I'm saying that I'm a content creator, so I have to, okay? So this is a Brunner force feedback yoke, okay? This is expensive. This costs 1,500 euros. However, it's brilliant. This just elevates flight sim experience tremendously, in my opinion. Right? However, it's expensive, okay? So it's just not fair to say, you know, this is the one to get, because not everyone will be having the kind of funds to do that. So for a little bit cheaper price, I do like the Thrustmaster Boeing yoke. And I'm not sure if I'm going to test the Moza yoke, although knowing me, probably I will. Right? So regarding, you know, yoke, it's either going to be Thrustmaster yoke for the cheaper variant, and then more expensive Brunner is really, really good. Joystick wise, cheap version or cheaper kind of version would be Warthog, Thrustmaster Warthog. I think that's really flexible to use with many different aircraft add-ons. But the more expensive version would be the Moza force feedback. That's the AB9, I think it is. And again, that is the more expensive version. But man, the amazing thing is the amount of different settings you can do. You can tweak your personal preference regarding force feedback, dampening, vibrations, etc., etc. It's crazy what you can do with that. So yeah, not an easy or straightforward answer, I'm afraid. It's just the way it is. But yeah, there you have it. As long as the wife is happy, there isn't any problem. Sammy, hello. Yeah, true. True. No, I don't have... Well, I have... Look, so right now I'm using the 777 throttle set. I have a 737 throttle set. I have a 747 throttle set. I have an A320 throttle set. But that's a... Oh, yeah, and I have a general aviation throttle set. But that's about it. That pretty much sums it up. So once we get to Alira, it's going to be direct to Peltzen. Peltzen. That's about it. Yeah. Look. I lose track a little bit. Okay, that's just the way it is. I'm being honest. Then Florida. That's interesting. Florida. So Yankee 309 to Florida. Then direct Zaggy. Zaggy it is. Direct Zaggy. Direct Cheese. Quebec 133. To Calda. I don't see the route in port. That's a problem. I just do not see the I don't think the data link stuff is working yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the last time I asked that as well, and then somebody said no, it's not working yet. So you can do the fuel loading and the normal loading. So Sierra India Echo, and then we go departure arrival, JFK arrival. Yeah, I did. Yeah, Ghost. Yep. So the thing is this. What I would like to do in JFK, there is that Kanazi. Oh, is it called Parkway nowadays? Well, they call it Parkway Visual, okay? So we used to call it Kanazi approach because it really takes it over Kanazi VOR. And from there on, it's a visual to 13 left normally. So, but I guess in the Arnav days, probably, yeah, that's the thing. So you would kind of do this. You would probably get cleared the Arnav. Hey, I always got someone nice to see you. Big shout out. So 13 left. Thank you, Mark. Honestly, I've not been to JFK for ages, so I don't know what clearance they normally get. Okay, so I'm going to program this because obviously Assault is the initial approach fix, and then so let's do 13 left, but we are going to fly it visually. Okay, so we're not going to fly it in a boring manner. So 13 left is Zulu. Cameron 4. Execute. So let's have a look. So let's have a look here on the plan mode. 40 miles. So Cameron, then we're going to go to Assault. And from there, we're going to shoot the approach. Yeah. Perfect. Alrighty. That's how we're going to do it. Yeah, Sammy, I remember I did that with the Concorde. On stream, actually. Across the pond sometime. Yeah, the Frage. I mean, it's a great time to be in flight simming because even hardware-wise now, there's just so much stuff coming. So new hardware coming up. It's fantastic. It is really, really nice. But yeah, even though prices are dropping, it is still an expensive hobby, let's put it this way, right? So not just software-wise, but if you get going in the hardware section as well, well, it can really cost a lot of money. So simulation, airplane configuration, no, back, general sim. No, that's not it. General airplane, no, back. avionics, that's it. So, EFIS. Yeah, flap reference speed we want. Then next page, hang on, page 2, hang on. EFIS option. Oh, there we go, next page. No, okay, so that's that. Now what I want to do is synchronize the barrows, and I don't find the option for that. Right, let's go. So I tell you what, let's say the aircraft has a certain age, okay? So let's say normal on the engine on the engine live. Yeah, absolutely, der Frage. I fully agree. It is great. I am definitely enjoying it. Cool. That's that. So let's have a look again at briefing the weather. Right. So right now we have Miami. Then JFK 340, 18 gust 28. Now if you do 13, we're going to have a lot of tailwind. I'm not sure if we're even going to be able to do that approach. Maybe, well, I guess we could do an approach and then go around because of tailwind and then set up for a 3-1 approach, right? It depends. If we have lots of traffic in New York, or if New York is on regarding ATC, then we can't do that, obviously, but we'll see. We'll have a look once we get there. And then Philadelphia is the alternate, currently 16 gust 22. The forecast is good. There's no threats, apart from, well, not even threats with the wind. All good. That is all good. So let's have a look at weight and balance. Let's do again loading page. So we have everything on board. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, Tony, absolutely. I mean, you know, there are obviously more expensive hobbies, right? Like you say, anything to do with racing, you know, car racing, IRL, or sure, even flying. If you in a flying club and you pay $150, $200 per flight hour, that's also expensive. Yeah, you know, no doubt. Yes, I flew the Canarsie Visual on the 747 back when I was a first officer. Then I would say at least 10 times. At least 10 times IRL. And the ratio, me being pilot monitoring and pilot flying, I think was like 7-3. So 7 times I was pilot monitoring and 3 times I was pilot flying. But yeah, I've flown it a couple of times IRL. It was brilliant. So enjoyable. In the night, I don't have any recollection doing that at nighttime, if I'm honest. I only have recollections daytime, not nighttime, because we arrived. Well, we had two flights. One was earlier, and the other one was late in the afternoon. But I'm not sure if it was ever in the dark. No, not sure. Cool. So let me quickly have a look at the CG summary. So 0 fuel weight, it's 171. I have a feeling that's not exactly what we had planned. Oh, I stand corrected. It's exactly as planned. Wow. Cool. So 0 fuel weight And the ramp, that means the current weight of the aircraft is 195, let's say. So that's including the fuel, and it says 23 tons really, and that is with quite a lot of taxi fuel. I'm not sure if we really need that much, but hey, no worries. Yeah, so flight time, guys, is 2 hours 22. Schnapszahl, as we say in Germany. Cool. So let's pop out the MCDU here, and then I'm going to go ahead and enter those values here. So let's... Oh, actually, hang on. We got a flight... Hang on. Do we have a final load sheet yet? No. Why not? Right. Then let's start the APU. Is it because it's not quite departure time yet? Well, it's 10 minutes to departure. It's APU inlet door opening up. Yeah, and the sim, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you have those lead-in lights at night time, or if you have any lead-in lights. In real life, you have, yes. Right, okay, the pack's coming on. The sound's okay with the sim, or is it too quiet? I can definitely boost that a bit if it's too quiet. What? Loading's not complete yet? Hang on. But the weights are there? Hold on. What do you mean the loading isn't complete? Loading page? Oh, the fuel. Could be a bit louder. Okay, let me just... it doesn't matter if we get locked off now from... so aircraft interior, aircraft exterior, master, environmental. Yeah, there we go. There. Okay, yeah, that could have been it. I was looking at the weights. I wasn't looking at the fuel. That's why. Switch Hyper, I think so. I think this does actually come with the aircraft. However, there are some airlines that don't really use it. Yeah, I'm messing this up now. Hang on, let me just fill from SimBrief. Loading page. Retouch. There we go. Now we are fueling it. It's the ER, in my opinion. So this should be 200 ER. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think Inibuilds, sorry, not Inibuilds, but FlightFactor has at the moment 200 ER. Astur, system-wise, this is already a nice high-fidelity fidelity aircraft with lots of different simulations, etc. And the thing is, again, it's just the way these aircraft are programmed in X-Plane. They just feel more realistic. I do enjoy the way the environment acts on the aircraft. So aerodynamically, you know, wind-wise, again, to a certain degree, once the wind gets above 20 knots, it does get a bit crazy. But the new 777, it doesn't have winglets. No, it has foldable wing tips.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome
Hello.
aboard the Captain Black Box infotainment experience. New subscribers should now pick up their pass to first class. Thank you.
Genuine Big, thank you so much for your Twitch Prime. That is really kind. Let me give you a round of applause for that. Thank you so much for your support. Right, now that should be all. Now that should be finished now. Let's have a look. Yay, and we have a load sheet. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Let me click on that, and then we can go and get this turned like this. Cool. All right, now we have it. Final figures. Thank you, HD Sim. So let's enter the final figures. We have a zero fuel weight of 171.8. The reserves, let me just call up my flight plan here. So the reserves are 6.2. And again, that value is the alternate fuel plus the final reserve fuel. Those two values always make up that fuel value there. So that's the minimum fuel value you have to have at the missed approach point of your landing runway there. So 6.2, the cruise altitude, I think it's pretty high, 410. I don't even know if you could reach that. Let's have a look. Cost index is up here, 109. That's also pretty realistic for these big Boeing aircraft. Right, VNAV. Let's have a look here. Oh yeah, optimum is 400. Max 427. Yeah, sure. I mean, cool. Now let's do the following. Let's go ahead and do performance. So typical Boeing kind of performance calculator. So let's do the search. KMIA. Search. Runway we set 12. No intersection. Dry runway. The wind. The wind was. Airports, Miami. There we are. Weather. ATIS. So departure ATIS. So 090 at 14. I'm not going to include the gust. Yeah, 1914. Temperature is 28. Nice and warm. Nice and warm. 3010 inches. Takeoff weight. So the takeoff weight is 194.5. However, for calculations, I don't think we're going to need that much taxi fuel. Well, actually, here we go. Now it says like 300 kilograms. All right, then we go with 194.6, let's say. The CG is 28.8. So let's say 28. The VNAV is there. We'll have a look at it, Astor. The last time it was okay, actually. It wasn't that bad. How long is the runway? Questions over questions. How long is the runway? So how long is the runway? The runway is about 2,600 meters. We're not that heavy. It's warm, but we're sea level. So let's try takeoff 2. I think that should be possible. And assumed temperature method. Now, it doesn't give me the values, does it? Flaps 5, air condition, so anti-ice off. Yeah, so I would have to do that myself. Let's try 45. So it should be possible. We can, of course, have a look at SimBrief. Yeah, assumed temperature method. Yeah, exactly. ATM. One of the abbreviations I actually know. The amount of abbreviations I had to learn or came across in my pilot life, blimey. Right, so let's have a look here. Okay, so let's do the performance calculation here on sim brief. So runway 12, optimum flap, optimum thrust, bleed auto, anti-ice off. The rest looks good. I will disable improve climb, calculate. So sim brief gives me also flaps 5, DTO 2, and selected 51. So we'll take the speeds 34, 36, 42. We'll take 45. So we're on the safe side with that. Speeds look okay as well. Yeah, so that's what we'll take. So I can enter those values there. Flaps 5, CG 28, and speeds 128, 131, and 135. Okay. Cool. That means... Oh, hang on. Disregard. Now, yeah, that's what you have to do first. Otherwise, it does delete your takeoff speeds, obviously. Test. So again. Right. Then, flaps 5. So then we go 128, 131, and 135. Excellent. Now everything is finished. I can give you a quick briefing. However, let me just have a look at the chart real quickly. For our departure. So, departure, false 3 departure. Runway 12. This way. So, top altitude is 5,000 feet. That's the first thing we shall dial in here. 5,000 feet. So, climb on heading 124. Heading set. Intercept course 102 to Jamba. So, a quick look here. Jamba. Then track 124 to Kabola. And then track 054 to cross mark at or above 5,000. So 5,000 or at. All right, correct. Cool. And then we have a transition. So from mark, we go 060 to false. And then on the assigned transition, which is for us Alira. So we have faults, we have Gozer, we have Alira, all correctly programmed. Sector, we have 2,900 feet, not really high at all. So quite benign MSA here, out on the water. Should not cause any concern. Engine out. We have NDP 1, interestingly enough. We'll change that in a minute in the box. And then we've got engine out acceleration 1,600 feet. And we just go straight out 124 track, 25 miles to hold. So that is pretty straightforward. So let me just do that again. So we go to the takeoff page. And on page number 2, we can change the acceleration and the thrust reduction heights. So that's going to be 1,500 height for the thrust reduction and 3,000 feet height for the acceleration. Yeah, transition 18,000 is fine as well. So that's all set. Fuel, we have extra fuel. We have about 20 minutes extra for New York. Hey, Alpha. So today shouldn't be too busy. Excellent. Any special threats? Anything you guys would see that I don't see? Now, I got my squawk already. So the automatic ATC here in in the US on VATSIM gives you, if they don't have ATC, you do still get a squawk to set. So we got 7614. Gonna put that on already. TCAS to above. Cool. What about doors? How does the doors look? I know there's the hatch in the front. I don't know why that's always open. So let's have a look here at menu, airplane doors. Oh no, no, don't. Sorry. That, and that. That was highlighted. That's why I clicked on it.
Unable to find view ID 32.
We don't want to bring out the slides, that's for sure. So external power can go off. We've got the APU running. And then what we'll do is we'll have a look at our trusty flows document. So for the actually let's read the pre-flight checklist first of all before we do anything else. So doors are now closed. So the pre-flight checklist: oxygen test 100%, flight instruments. We've got heading 072, altimeter 3010 at let's say 10 feet. And that's the pre-flight checklist complete. Let's reset the bar row here. And then let's have a look here. We've got TCAS off. TCAS is good, and terrain as well. Fantastic. HD sim, I got that from my own documents. But again, I'm not claiming they are up to date, okay? So that's why you can't use them for real world flying, obviously. So let's go ground services. Let's get rid of the stairs. Let's get rid of the ground power. And let's get rid of the chocks. The rest is good. Right, so we want to go pushback. I think this way. Yeah, let's go this way.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Yes, this is beta, yeah.
Ground to cockpit.
So the
Nose
X-plane is
driving
beta,
up.
and FlightFactor obviously is also still beta, yeah. Good, so for the before start flows, obviously if you are in shared flight, you can split that, but so I've split that in CM1 items and CM2 items. So the captain has to do the V speeds. I've already set those. Armed the LNAV VNAV, and then I'm going to set the trim. Normally you would ask for hydraulic clearance from the ground staff. So assuming that we got the hydraulic clearance, we're going to set the trim, and the CM2 goes doors check closed, and then it goes up on the overhead panel, does the hydraulics, fuel pump, the beacon, does a recall check,
Okay, all doors
and put the
hatches are
transponder on.
closed. Ready to connect.
It's on the website. So if you go to here, under, so that's going to bring you to the app, and there under checklists we have 777, and there you see flows, and that's where you have the flows. Good, so let me set the trim. The trim should be, let's have a look. Trim should be 4.25. So just a little notch. Oh, actually, so this is the difference, right? The 787 has an electric stabilizer trim. The 777 doesn't. So I actually have to go through the items here. Oops. Before I'm actually able to put the trim to the desired position. Recall check, TCAS off is good. And then I'm going to set 4.25. There we go, now it's moving. 4.25. Transponder is already on. So we'll do the before start checklist. Flight deck door. So now locked MCP. We have V2-135, heading 124, altitude 5,000. Takeoff speeds. V1-128, VR-131, V2-135. And we've got 90.1%. CD pre-flight completed. Trim is 4.25 units, 0, 0. Taxi takeoff briefing completed. Before start checklist complete. What a beauty. It is a beautiful aircraft, not gonna lie. I like it. So let's have the brakes released.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Miami traffic, American 6244 pushing back in Miami. So to my knowledge, the only engines in the 777 you are allowed to start both engines at the same time are the Rolls-Royce engines, which are not simulated yet in the FlightFactor. So today we have the Pratt & Whitneys. So we'll do right first, and then we'll do the left one. So engine start. Engine page is open. Start right engine. That looks good. Oh, CTAF, you're right. It is CTAF, not 28. No, on the Boeing, to my knowledge, we always do engine 2 first. That hasn't changed for us. Yep, CTAF, thanks guys, exactly. Not 22.8, but CTAF. I'll do that in a second. Pave locked up. Yeah, nice. I just want to listen to the engine sounds. Oh, yes, please. Yay, 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 yay. Miami. Welcome to Miami. And let's have a look at the CTAF 18.3. Northcom. All right, let's do 18.3 then. Thank you. Right, good engine start. Start left engine.
Operation complete. Set parking brake. Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Yeah, these are the G90s, yeah. The whole aircraft shakes. Can you see that? That's brilliant. I love that. Yes, please.
Oh, it's
love
disconnected. Bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal.
I've forgotten something.
We'll see you
Backup generators.
next time and have a safe flight.
Right, there we go. So let's do the before taxi items, flaps 5. So the first officer looks at the overhead panel, switches off the APU. Nothing else here to do. We do a recall check, leave the TCAS off open. Then gonna get rid of the engine page. Let's have a look at the flight control page. Let's do a flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and the rudder full left, full right. And I'm using a tiller today again. So I'm pretty sure that here is the all clear signal. Fantastic. And then let's do the... Actually, let's just make sure we haven't forgotten anything. So flight controls, APU, anti-ice, cancel recall, flaps. Oh, lights on for taxi. Okay, yeah, that's all right. So turn off taxi lights. Let's do the before taxi checklist. Recall was checked, and then we got flight controls checked. Ground equipment is clear. Before taxi checklist complete. No, Winky. I've been running stock weather literally all the time. I've only used X-Plane 12 active sky. I don't know, only a couple of times. Miami traffic, American 6244 taxiing runway 12 in Miami. So let's have a look here. We're going to go to Victor. Then we're going to go to, it should be Quebec. Yeah, Quebec to the right. Lol. Tiller is working. I am very happy.
Miami traffic, American 469 Heavy, descending through 3,600, up 12 miles to the west of the airport, on final for the ILS runway 9er Miami.
So I'm just waiting for the cabin ready, but I'm not sure on the PMG it comes automatically after a certain amount of time. But I'm not sure about the FlightFactor here. Let's see, if I do this, hang on. Yeah, I deactivated the messages, but I was sure the cabin, doesn't the cabin still work? Strange. Ah, okay, Lucas. Let me just try that. So let's have a look now.
Miami traffic, American 469 Heavy, 5 miles on the final or on the ILS runway 9er Miami.
No voice. Ah, okay. So somewhere I've set the no voice action then. Hold on. Airplane. Captain's commands. No. God, there, cabin controls. No. Ah, okay. Crew voice communication. Nope. Yeah, that's the thing. Somewhere I deactivated. Ah, no, now I can. Ah, there we go. Let's have a look. I'm not sure why I'm not hearing the voice. Mute voices. Okay, let's try that. Maybe that's why.
This is the captain.
Ah.
How do you hear?
I don't know. I did not.
At your service.
I did not really think that I.
Much appreciated.
Hang on. Purser.
All ears.
Doors.
I would like all doors to be closed now.
Already so.
Prepare for takeoff.
Sure.
Ah, okay. There is a option. There is an option to arm the doors somewhere for sure.
Miami traffic, giant 381 landing up runway 09.
Loading. No. Cursor. PA call. No. Cursor. Ah. Oh,
All
door.
doors to armed mode.
Lol.
All
Okay.
armed.
There we go. So
Thanks.
now. Okay. I thought, yeah, I'm a little bit spoiled regarding Microsoft and PMDG, where these things go
Traffic coming in 469 heavy, clear runway 9 on uniform.
Where that happens automatically.
Miami traffic.
Yeah, Sammy, thank you. Yeah, found it. And then let's have a look.
Miami giant 381 taking off runway 09 now.
Got a hold here. There's the runway hold line.
What can I do for you?
Prepare for takeoff.
All right.
So let's see if we get the cabin crew ready call here. In the meantime, let's read the before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist.
Checklist
Checklist complete.
469 heavy, is clear about all runways, taxiing to parking, Miami.
Okay, let's assume we get the cabin ready. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Miami traffic. American 6244 lining up departing runway 12 in Miami. So TCAS. Packs are on. That's all good. Approach sector is clear. What I like is everything just feels more realistic in the sense of the way the aircraft wobbles. Now with the tiller, how it turns. The way I apply the brakes. Right, now full tiller here. Ghost, I've got the yoke cam on today, okay. So let's see how did I do with the lineup this time. 124. Not bad, not bad. For such a big aircraft, well, I'm a bit off heading, but I set 124. So that's the runway heading apparently, but it's not pointing down the runway. Okay. Anyways, so we got that. And here comes the yoke cam. Done all the checklists. We are ready. Miami traffic, American 6244 departing now. Bit of forward pressure. Takeoff. Oh, yes, please. Thrust set. $80 knots checked. You on? Rotate. Bars right. Gear up. Wow, there she goes. That is just a beast. Hey, MAN, how are you? That is just a beast of an aircraft. Blimey. So we have NADP 1, remember guys, so we had the thrust reduction now of climb 2. However, no acceleration just yet. Yeah, tire pressure is a bug here in the sim. Is still there, unfortunately. So let's go jumbo. And now we got the acceleration phase. Yeah, the 777, if it's not heavy, even though we derated, flaps 1, flaps 1. It is still an absolute beast of an aircraft. It's just so overpowered. Flaps up. Flaps up. Autopilot. Alright, in clouds. VNAV out. Alright, 410. Thrust ref, VNAV speed, 41,000. Miami traffic, American 6244 leaving the airspace to the northeast in Miami. Yeah, and again, that's just because the aircraft is so light. No, HDLZ, I'm using map enhancements, it's called. Which is, of course, also, I think, available to be used in the Microsoft Flight Sim. After takeoff checklist.
After takeoff checklist complete.
Checklist complete. So the first part of the routing takes us over to water. Oops. Flights. Maps. There we go. Oh, hang on. Where's my flights? Not flights. Hold on. Where's my There we go. Yeah, so that's the first part here, going towards Freeport. And then we turn more northbound. And then let's have a look. Any Wilmington? What's this? Beaufort. And then, yeah, pretty much along the coastline, the eastern coastline, past Philadelphia, and then JFK. Ghost, it's still good. The thing is, though, you just do not want to overpower your cabin control capabilities. All right, so you just make sure that the cabin rate of plus 500 feet per minute is able to keep pace with the actual climb rate. Otherwise, differential pressure just gets too big. It's a 200, yes, MAN, yeah. So right now, 200, they have two engine versions, GE, Pratt & Whitney, and they're working on the Rolls-Royce right now. Cool, okay, so I'm going to dial down the sim sounds a bit. So it's a bit nicer just for the cruise, so that I don't have to shout. Yeah, I love the engine wobble. Hey MAN, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Captain Black Box infotainment experience. New subscribers should now pick up their pass to first class. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to be passing 18,000 feet, so standard, set altimeters, 3 times, standard. Could do all the lights off. We'll check the pitch of the aircraft. 7 degrees is okay. Yeah, 7 degrees is fine. Seat belts auto. And then NAFRAT, nothing there. And fixed page was clear as well. Fantastic. Cool. Rightio. Thank you so much, MAN, for the gifted sub to Sammy. Once again, that's 197 gifted subs, MAN. Thank you very, very, very much. That is just absolutely incredible. Thank you, MAN. So once we reach the cruising level, I'll talk about the checklist stuff. I think so. Looking at how many people already have the 777 PNVG, let's say, and I guess a few have the FlightFactor, and I'm sure many people get. Hey, Sim Caesar, lovely to see you, Caesar. Now that I got you here, what are you doing next Monday? Because I know you've got your Monday stream, right? On your second channel. Uh-oh. Because again, see, I'm really enjoying X-Plane now. X-Plane has become very enjoyable. Absolutely love it. And a big shout out to Sim Caesar, guys. If you don't know Sim Caesar, he's also streaming here on Twitch. Lots of different flight sims, like the jets, GA aircraft. He does some wonderful group flights. Yeah, Sim Caesar, please do. Please do. I'm flexible. And I would like to finally live up to my promise. Because I was telling you a lot of times that, yeah, I would love to do a shared flight with you again. Aircraft, completely your choice, Sim Caesar. Whatever you want to fly, I'll be there. Oh yeah, I saw that. Uptukat. Yeah, he does also stream train sims from time to time. Yeah. MAN, no, it's not finished yet. It will continue, and they've been teasing a little bit about the 320 on Neo for Microsoft 2024. So definitely some good chances to go on that tour and continue. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of Microsoft 2024 stuff and also X-Plane stuff now, so literally not been doing many Microsoft 2020 flights lately. So, but yeah. We will continue. Yeah, so Sim Caesar, I'm not sure what you are using as add-ons here in X-Plane, but I'm using map enhancements and SimHaven. And boy, it's just really elevated the experience. It's just so beautiful. This afternoon, oh actually it was this morning when I made the announcement files, the screenshots. I overflew New York, and I was amazed. I got 60 FPS plus. So it was VSync 60 FPS, and New York has a crazy amount of autogen, and it still ran really nicely. Yeah, Natalia, there's a few more things missing in 2024. The next update to make the lighting a bit better. There's one thing I don't like about Microsoft 2024. The lighting often is just too bright. It's just really weird sometimes. Also, I'm still waiting for more aircraft to come out. Yeah, exactly. The iFly 737, for example, will be one aircraft I will look forward to. But I mean, if the 777 comes out, let's face it, we've got the A350, we've got then 777 PNG, we've got Phoenix as an A320. If the iFly came out, it will be 737, right? We've got some good GA aircraft out already. So I think it's getting closer now to a point after 1 year. It's getting almost a year. It's getting closer to a point where, yeah, where I would finally say maybe 22.4 is now good enough to go in. Hey Ted Barker, buenas tardes, señor. ¿Cómo estás? Sometimes people write to me and say, why do you hate Microsoft 2024 so much? And I'm saying, I don't hate it. It's just not as nice as, you know, Microsoft 2020 is at the moment. So I'm just waiting for some things to stabilize and improve a little bit. I don't hate it. But I guess it was the same with X-Plane. People asking me, why did you leave X-Plane? So I haven't left it. It's just that I had really, really terrible performance. Some weird stutters and yeah, the lighting didn't look as nice. So weather simulation sometimes was a bit off. And yeah, that's why I just, you know, if I spend time in flight sims, I just want it to be enjoyable as much as possible. Yeah. Okay. All right. So for those that are interested, how do you actually use these checklists in the 777? So one big improvement that came with the 777, and then later also that was implemented in the 787, were the ECL, the electronic checklist, right? So I wrote that the electronic checklist system on the PMG 777, but then of course also here in the FlightFactor 777, is very easy to use if you know the logic behind it, right? So the first thing you would normally do, and I didn't do that today actually, normally the first thing we do is we do a reset checklist. So we would go to checklist. No.
Record.
No. Calm down. All good. Right. So we would go to resets. Oh yeah, and before Ted, I did my first takeoff on the 747 feelers today. So I'm getting there.
Ladies
Right.
and gentlemen,
Not much longer
welcome
now
aboard
regarding
the
a shared
Captain
flight.
Black Box infotainment experience.
And we said we wait for Marco.
New subscribers should now pick up their pass to first class. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buonasera.
Buonasera.
711 heavy.
Heavy. Pilot 727. Thank you so much for your 11 months, almost a year now. Thank you so much for the support. And I hope you're doing well. Hello, James. Doing well. How are you, James? Nice to see you. Why do you derate? What do you mean, Ghost? Yeah, so first thing to do is you would reset all. Why is that? Well, maybe maintenance was doing some stuff, some checklists, whatever, right? You just want to have a clean sheet when you start out your flight. So, of course, in the real aircraft, we check the revision, make sure that's according the technical logbook, and then we would do reset all. And that resets all the checklists, normal and non-normal, to the first checklist. Right? So that's one thing we do. So it just makes sure that the checklist starts at the beginning of the procedure and no former non-normal checklists remain in the queue. So that's the reason. You have Ted. For subs, do you have checklists for the 777-8? Well, I can show you what I have. I mean, this already for free, right? So, Natalia, so if you go to my website, so if you go to blackbox711.com, flightsimulator.com, go to web app, we've got already lots of checklists in there. And so we either have a checklist or we have flows as well. But not to all aircraft, not in all aircraft, right? So, but here, for example, the A300, we would have flows as well. Not very detailed. What are you missing? I mean, of course, it is a bit trimmed regarding flight simming. So I'm not, of course, I'm not supplying FCOMs, right? Where it tells you each and everywhere why you would put that switch to this and that position, etc. No, so that would be like in an FCOM. Yeah, exactly. So but then you can so there are some FCOMs available on the internet if you search a little bit. Yeah, okay, so if you're looking for something that pilots use, you're looking for some FCOMs, so flight crew operating procedures and manuals and so on. So those are not easy to come by, obviously, and there are some. Yeah, that's true. So that's true, MAN. PMDG has some in the P3D versions. Yeah. Yeah, no, Sammy. So the thing is, of course, I mean, if you look at how people use flight sims, I would say less than 1% actually use it so realistically that you know, they would look into something more, even more detailed than having a list of you know, checklist items to do. Yeah. So yeah, again, I mean, I am honestly, I'm not doing, you know, real world training. I'm not doing anything, you know, above flight simulation. So flight sim edutainment, if you like. So that's not my job. I'm not an instructor. All right. So I do everything regarding flight simming and how to get more enjoyment out of them. Sammy, what do you mean? Which is why the SOP and or flow procedures for? Can you elaborate a little bit more, Sammy? I'm not sure what you mean. Anyways, so so for the normal checklist procedure, okay? So when you press on the checklist button, right, next to the autopilot panel there, right? When you press that, it will call up the next checklist in line. So the one after the one that you just completed, okay? So you bring that up. So now it will be descent checklist, okay? So normally what you would do items first, and then you would read the checklist. All right, so later, let's say I'm preparing the approach. We would do our descent preparation flows. So if you look at the 777, flows, all right. Then we go to the descent flows. So we would preset the altimeter, preset the minimums, check the routing in the FMS for the approach, etc. And then we do a briefing for the approach. All right. And in preparation as well, what you would normally do before reading the checklist, you would click on recall and make sure in the checklist it doesn't have anything with notes. Because if it's anything with notes in it, it's usually linked to an abnormal procedure where you have some more items or you have to read some important notes before you do the approach briefing and the approach checklist. So once you've done the briefing, and just before descent, you would then say descent items, flaps, let's say 25, and auto brake 3, right? Then the pilot monitoring sets the auto brake selected to 3, inserts the approach flaps speed, does the recall once more, and then reads the checklist, right? So you would read descent, recall. So if it's not sensed by its own, it's open, all right? So this is an open item. You would then say, let's say here, for example, before taxi, anti-ice, you would say off. Today in Miami, it was warm enough. We would just simply say off, and the pilot monitoring clicks on the item there. And then you get that tick mark there, and the line becomes green. So then goes recall. That may be self-sensed. Right? The same goes for auto brake, right? So here, for example, is a self-sensed item. Right? Because it doesn't give you a check. It doesn't give you a checkbox. So you can't click it. So it's missing that selection. So auto brake has to go to RTO selection. Then this will go green automatically for you. So self-sensed. Right? Also, the cursor, that magenta cursor, jumps to the next open box. So if there's a green line already, so if that item's self-sensed, let's say, it would jump from recall directly to flight controls. Now, flight controls, it doesn't self-sense. So you'd read flight controls, and the pilot flying in this case would say checked. So the captain. Then next would be ground equipment. You make sure the ground equipment is away from the aircraft, and you say clear. And the pilot monitoring clicks on the box here. So there we go. So some of the checklist items do not have a tickable box. These are items that are self-sensed by the system. In the checklist on the left, these are, for example, the parking brake and the fuel control switches. These will automatically be ticked if the corresponding switches systems are set correctly. Right, self-sense. Now, once, and that's really important. That is, thanks HD7, that's really kind. Thank you, HD7, for the kind words. Thanks for being here. So, once the checklist is complete, what you will get is a green box at the bottom, and it says checklist complete. It's really important, because if that is not the case, anytime you press on the checklist button, it will bring up that checklist again. Right? It will only jump to the next checklist in line if you have if that checklist is complete, and that becomes very important with the abnormal checklists. And we'll run through an abnormal checklist in a minute to demonstrate that. So, once everything's completed and you get the checklist complete, you would say descent, checklist complete. Right? And that completes everything. So you have two options now. You can either press on the checklist button. What happens then is that that checklist will blank. Okay. Or another option would be to press on normal. If you press on normal, it will jump to the next checklist in line, which would then be the approach checklist in this case. All right. Now, let's say for some reason there's an item which you cannot click. For example, let's say you're already in the pushback. All right, so you've forgotten to do the pre-flight checklist before pushback, which would be bad, of course, but you know, it could happen. Well, then it says pre-flight parking brake set, and you can't click that, you can't tick that, because the parking brake is released for the pushback, right? So how can you still continue then to finish the checklist? Well, there's something called item override. All right. So if you click on the item override, wherever that is boxed, it will override that item and make it cyan. And then jump to the next item in line. Right? The correct procedure, if you're doing shared flight, would be confirm, parking brake set item override. Then the pilot monitoring checks, says, yep, item override confirmed. Then you click on that and you would say item overridden. And there's a lot of words, but that's what normally will be done. Because the important thing is with CRM is that you don't override anything, you don't do anything without the other one knowing. So both pilots have to be on the same page. So once you've done the 2 items as well, let's say in this case, regarding item override, you would then get again the checklist complete, like you see here. All right, so now, if you press normal or you press checklist twice, then the next checklist in line will come up, and this one will no longer pop up all the time. All right. So let's say I'm doing something really silly. I'm going, for whatever reason,
Descent checklist.
I'm doing the following. I'm going checklist. Oh no, darn! I clicked on the wrong button. Right. Now the whole checklist is overwritten, right? It says checklist override and item override. So now I'm doing something really silly as well. I'm resetting all. Oh no. Right. So if I now press checklist, guess what comes up? Yeah, the pre-flight checklist. Exactly. So instead of going item override for all of these items, I'm just going to click checklist override.
Complete.
Right.
Before start.
Then before start,
MCP,
checklist override.
Before taxi checklist.
Right, before taxi.
Record. Checklist complete.
Checklist overwritten.
Checklist.
Before takeoff.
Flat.
Checklist overwritten, right?
Checklist.
Right,
Checklist
now we're back in
complete.
loop. So now we're back where we're supposed to be. So let's say now
Checklist.
I've done this.
Checklist
I accidentally
complete.
overridden the checklist. Well, there's a checklist reset.
Recall.
So now I can reset that checklist that is open. The previous one is still ticked, right? So the previous checklist that were prior to this
Recall.
have all been, they all remain closed. So these buttons help you with syncing up your checklist in case you've done a mistake. You made a mistake somewhere where the checklist has become kind of desynchronized from your items. Then either you would item override or checklist override, depending on where you are. Right. So that's kind of the checklist hygiene, as we say, all right? Checklist hygiene. And that's really it. That's already everything you need to know regarding electronic checklist. So it's not that complicated. Is that what the second item here is for? I always thought it was the pilot's notes for the approach. No, I'll show you that in a minute, Ghost. Okay, so I'm going to have a long think about what checklists we can do to demonstrate an issue. Shall we do? I'm just going to check if there's any traffic around us. Okay. Let's go on TCAS below. So we're scanning about 10,000 below us now. So there's no aircraft around us. So what we're going to do, we're going to fail an engine, but so that we can restart it. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
And that way I can show you guys
welcome
the
aboard
abnormal
Captain Black Box
checklist.
infotainment
Hey, Mad Cat,
experience.
thank you much for the
New
7 months now.
subscribers should now pick up their pass to first class.
Thank you.
you.
It's all good. We can restart the engine. Mad Cat, thank you so much for the 7 months. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for support. So before we go and read the or go do the checklist, let me just go through some basics first of all. So there are obviously some differences. So the non-normal electronic checklist is somewhat more complex. And so if you're ever into doing abnormals, or if you have, let's say you have service-based failures active, and you run into a failure, then you got to know what you do with the checklist, right? So these electronic checklists are really, really good. However, oh,
What would you like?
Captain, would you like some coffee?
oh, that's nice.
Yes.
Please,
What kind would you like?
black like my soul.
Black, please.
Will do as you ask.
Oh, he said please this time. Okay, so anyways. All right, cool. Get some coffee. That's nice. Like that. Hey, Alex. Sim Caesar. I love that. Yeah, Sim Caesar, I love your emotes. They're so cool. Really nice. Anyways, let's get back to the business. So yeah, non-normal checklists are a little bit more complicated than the normal checklist and need to be used carefully. Exactly. Have some coffee before an engine failure at 41,000 feet. Yeah, otherwise you can quickly get into wrong path with all its negative consequences. So now, when you have failures, you have different alerts. So you have warnings, right? Red are warnings. They come with an oral alert and a warning light, and they have the highest priority. Right? That can't be cancelled. It remains visible. You can only cancel the sound alert, although not always. But like the overspeed warning. But not, well, there would also be an emergency cancel override for that alert. But anyways, so usually if you press the cancel button, then it will only cancel the sound and the warning light. But the indication on the checklist, hey Ali, it will remain. Okay. So only when the condition that caused the warning message is removed, i.e. once you have, in this case, put out the fire of the APU, only then will this warning message disappear. Okay. Next in line is a caution message, an amber. Now, caution messages always come with an oral alert and the caution lights. Right? Where do you get the caution lights? Here. So the warning and caution lights you get here. Okay. So we don't have a caution message right now because the caution message would be in line with the fire message here. Right? It is not indented. Hey, thank you, Delta Tango, for the like. Appreciate that. Hello, how are you doing? Yes, you did, Alex. Just for demonstration purposes. So, if it's indented, it is an advisory message. Advisory. Right? It advises you something's not as it should be. However, it's not as important as a caution and definitely not important as a warning, right? So those do not come with an oral alert and no caution light is shown. And also those messages are indented by one space, as you can see here, okay? Then you have these white communication messages, for example, FMC, or a memo message. Like right now we have no smoking on as a memo message. Right? It's just a crew reminder of a selected normal condition. Right? Yeah, and if you get like FMC or ATC with a dot, it's a communication message. Cool. Now, when you see a white rectangle in front of a warning, a caution, or an advisory message, it means it has a checklist that has to be run, that has to be performed. So those rectangles, right? So there are procedural steps that need to be followed. And once the procedure checklist is completed, the rectangle is removed. So that's quite neat, because whenever you see these messages and there's a rectangle there, you know I have to do a procedure. I've got to throw some switches, press some buttons in order for that to disappear, and I make sure I put the aircraft systems into the correct state. So if we have these rectangles and we press on the checklist menu, it will bring automatically up the non-normal checklists. Now, big thing here. It says it puts these into 3 different priority levels. Right? Warning, caution, advisories. And again, the advisories are indented by one space. Right? Now, here's the important thing to remember. If you have several, let's say we would have several caution messages, the list in its own list, so in its own category, is not prioritized. That is very important to understand here in the Boeing aircraft. It's different to Airbus. Airbus does prioritize for you. Boeing does not. Boeing says that it expects pilots to have a system knowledge that allows them to look at what has to be done in forms of checklist and then select, in their opinion, the highest priority checklist. All right? So you're going to be very careful with that, because, as an example, you could have a hydraulic pressure problem where you have a hydraulic issue, and then it gives you a spoiler checklist. But again, you would say, oh, I know, spoiler is a result of the hydraulic issue. So there's no point in reading the spoiler checklist first, because it's a follow-up problem or failure from the hydraulic issue. So that's why pilots have to step in and look at the checklists and then prioritize themselves. Here it's an easy deal, right? That's warning, fire, APU. Oof. That is definitely very important. No time to waste. We would do that procedure, all right? So if there's a procedure, if there's a non-normal procedure available and needs to be done, white rectangle, you can simply press the checklist button on the display system panel, and the checklist, the rectangle will, with the highest priority, will be displayed automatically. Hey, Bruno. Sammy, GG's. Only 16 times. He's behaving. Okay, so yeah, then what you would do, you would go. So in real life, what happens is that the pilot monitoring, or the pilot that sees the failure first, he or she would say, hey, hydraulic pressure primary right. Then me as a captain, I would look at the message, look at the panel, check switches, and then I would say, yeah, okay, I see it as well. However, only the captain determines which checklist needs to be done. All right, so the captain would say, okay, let's do the hydraulic pressure primary right. And then the pilot flying, however, then calls up the procedure saying when he or she wants to start the checklist, right? Because only pilot flying can determine if he or she actually has the capacity right now to monitor the checklist items, right? Doesn't make sense if you're fighting with an engine failure, manual flight, just after liftoff, let's say 400 feet, and the pilot monitoring says, hey, hydraulic pressure primary right, and I have no capacity to look away from the instruments and check what the checklist is all about, right? Haley, doesn't make sense. So me as a pilot flying, I would wait for the right moment, best thing autopilot on, stabilize the flight path, so aviate, navigate, communicate, right? And then I would say, all right, hydraulic pressure primary right, checklist. And that's the starting cue. So then the pilot monitoring goes, hydraulic pressure primary right. Condition, the pump pressure is low. All right, normally you would have the hydraulic page open. All right, we would check the buttons, say, yep, confirmed. And then there's an action item. And then it says, right engine primary pump switch off. You would look for the switch. All right, here in the 777, you've got to be careful. Make sure you get the right switch. So the right engine primary, here's right engine primary off. It's not guarded, so I don't have to confirm it. Then you would switch that off. Now, this is self-sensed, meaning that the moment that you select the button to off, this will become green. Right? So it's sensed green as performed. And then look at this. So I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's do this. So let me do this. So that was right hydraulic pressure primary. Okay, so let me do this as a demonstration. Where's my failures? Hang on. Is it on the airplane? Ah, there we go. Failures. There we go. All right, failures. Right, let's do all failures. That was hydraulic. No. Then how about right? No. Right, let's have a look here if we can find it this way. So hydraulic. It's got so many failures in here. Bleed, back, equipment, temperature, engine, slat, spoilers, good God. Flapper on spoilers. Hydraulic, ha! So, pressure primary right. Hydraulic. There it is. There we go. Ah. So there we go. Guys, remember what we said? This is, what kind of message is this? Yes, an advisory message. It's not a warning, it's not a caution. It's just advisory. Right, so it's indented by one space. That's how you can see it's an advisory message. And it says hydraulic pressure primary right. I can check the button here, fault light, okay, confirmed. So we're in cruise level. We've got the capacity, aircraft in safe state, flying nicely. So then hydraulic pressure primary right, checklist. So now I click on checklist. Voila, it brings up non-normal checklist, hydraulic pressure primary left right. Click on that.
Pressure primary non-normal checklist.
So, condition, the pump pressure is low. Yeah, we've seen that on the system display. Engine primary pump switch affected system off. Off.
Checklist complete.
And there we go. So, we would still read the note. So, we wouldn't say checklist complete. We would actually say note, thrust reverser on the affected side may be inoperative. All right, pilot flying says, okay, copied. Now, we say hydraulic pressure primary right, checklist complete. So now that question was, what do notes mean? We'll have a look now. If we did the normal checklist,
please.
Okay, so now that we've finished the non-normal checklist, you can see pressing checklist brings up the next normal checklist, right? There's no other open checklists. So now we do have notes. So before actually going through our descent preparations, descent briefings, etc., we check recall, right? And we check the notes. Now recall, okay, it's because we switched that off. Okay. Anyways, so if you press nodes, you see operational nodes. Hydraulic pressure, primary left, right, thrust reverser on the affected side may be inoperative. So guys, why do you think this is important? Why do you think Boeing has put that in? And why do we do that before we go do descent preparations and briefings? Nobody dares to say a word. Come on, have a guess. Why would they put that into notes? There's a good reason for it. Waiting for Bruno to answer. Lol. So Lamb says, so we don't forget we have only one reverser at touchdown. Yes, but yeah, okay. So yeah, it does have an effect on aircraft performance. Yes, that's one point. But very simple, guys. Let's say we take off, and about half an hour after takeoff, we have this fault, but we fly for another 10 hours. So we fly 10 hours, and then we go recall. Oh, nothing in there. Okay, all systems working. Checklist. Oh, descent checklist. Okay. Right. So you may have forgotten after 10 hours that you had an issue, right? So let's say there's a button on the over panel somewhere that you're not looking at all the time. You completely forget that, as a matter of fact, you actually have an issue, and just like MAN wrote, and also Winky saying that you have to do some preparations in form of landing calculation, right? Another reason is the following. So let's say I'm the captain and I am in my nice little break. Let's say we have a 10-hour flight. I have 2.5 hour break. I'm in the crew rest, sleeping, right? And then my first officers, so senior and my other first officer, have the issue, all right? And then I come back and they forget to tell me, right, that they've forgotten that they had an issue, right? So they say, oh, yeah, oh, tired. We're talking to Gander Control right now, 30 West. We're going to contact Shanwick. Fuel is 200 kilograms minus. Time is plus 2 minutes. Yeah, cabin is all quiet. Nothing important to report, right? So I sit down, right, with my little eyes, waiting for my coffee, right, and then later we approach the airport, and then, yeah, right, everybody's forgotten about the issue that we had, right? So that's exactly what I think Alex just puts it quite nicely. It just enhances the situational awareness, right, for the approach. So by consequently every time doing your items, including recall check and notes check prior you do your descent checklist, you would see, oh, hang on, what's notes? And that would say, hey, operational notes. What? Hydraulic pressure, primary, left, what happened? And then I would start looking up maybe, and oh, hang on, what did you guys do? What's this? Right? So yeah, so that's the important thing, right? So then I can go, oh, hang on, thrust reverser on the right-hand side may be inoperative. Ah, okay, so for the descent calculations, we'll do the calculations without reverse thrust, right? Etc., etc., right? That's why you have the notes section there, and it is important. Right, let's see if we can fix this. Yeah. It seems fixed. Fantastic. Cool. Right, that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, and here's the example that I wrote down. So now let's have a look at another failure. This time, the procedure will be covering more than one page and also causes a secondary failure, right, with spoilers, let's say. So the spoilers advisory message, right, indented by one space, and you can see now this is already automatically correctly sequenced because this is a caution message and this is an advisory message. So here it is correct, right? However, there may be, like this case, you have 3 different advisories, right, which will then be displayed on the checklist menu just like this. And this would be one case where you would, as a pilot, would have to decide which checklist to run first. All right, and then just use common sense. Use your knowledge and common sense. One more important thing to note is if you have a more complicated checklist where you have several pages, you'll see some more symbologies. Like, for example, a gray or black down arrow on a gray background, or a cyan arrow on a black background. Right? So cyan means it's an inactive key. Right? This means next page is available. So if I click on that, it will jump to the next page. Now, I can also select the page directly. Right? So the green number means that's the page corresponding to the key displayed. So right now I am on page 2 because that's the green number. I'm on page 2, and that number 1 with the white background means that the checklist has. Oh, actually no. So a white means the page corresponding to the key is not displayed. Okay. Only when you complete all the steps of a checklist will it go green. Also very important, right? So it happens, especially when you have very long and complex procedures, that you finish your first page and it says, or now in this case second page, and it says continued. So me as a pilot monitoring would say continue to page 3. And the pilot flying would say roger, or checked, whatever, right? So that he noticed, okay, there's another page to do. And then you just go through the pages and the items. Now, it's very important. We always read notes and conditions, always. Right? We don't only go to the items. We actually say hydraulic pressure system right. Condition, the right hydraulic system pressure is low. All right, right ilic demand pump selector on. Do the item, it becomes green. Question, hydraulic pressure system right measures blanks, yes or no? Open question to the pilot flying. What do you think? No. Presses no. This is also something that I've heard some pilots get wrong from time to time. And you really have to be careful, read the question exactly word by word. Right, so you don't get a false negative, right? So you kind of press the wrong answer. Okay, really important. These questions, read them carefully and then decide. Then you got some more items to do, and once you select the switches or the buttons, whatever, it will go green and tell you, okay, finished. So there we go. So we go through here, for example. Yeah. So no, right? That becomes cyan because there is still going to be some more things to do. Right pump switch off. Right ilic demand selector off. And then once we've done everything, it says checklist complete, and then that little triangle, that white rectangle, not triangle, the white rectangle disappears. All right, once the checklist is complete, it disappears, and that's it. That's how you know that you have worked through the checklist completely Nothing else to do. And normally, if I then go cancel, it'll cancel these messages. However, if I press recall, they should be coming back. That's why I was a bit confused with the primary message not coming back there. Hydraulic primary. Oh yeah, also, so here we go. Another interesting thing to note is that not only the rectangle of the hydraulic pressure system right blanks, but also that rectangle around the spoilers has disappeared. Look at this, you see this? Initially, as we were working through the checklist, you had spoilers also as a checklist. And this is what I was telling you guys regarding the importance of having the correct sequencing, right? Now, in this case, it's easy because this one's a caution. You have to do that checklist first. However, as we work through the checklist, that rectangle also disappeared. Why? Well, at the end it says, inhibited checklist, spoilers. All right, so you don't do that checklist. You just note the fact that something's wrong with the spoilers, right? And it says here, for example, yeah, so note, roll rate may be reduced in flight, speed brake effectiveness may be reduced in flight and during landing. But inhibited checklist, spoilers. And there's your answer. Any questions up to this point, guys? I know it's a lot to go through, especially when you get used to these checklists initially. But all I can say, if you get to the stage where you want to get more out of your add-ons, or you have, selected random faults on, or service-based faults on, then yeah, you may get a hydraulic pump failure at some point, or flap failure, or whatever. And then you would have to go through these checklists. All right? And I love the way PMDG and the FlightFactor simulate this correctly. Yeah. And however, since it's true to life, it means, just like the real pilots, you have to go through these very carefully. You have to understand what the symbologies mean. You have to understand how these things are prioritized. And that way, you can get through this properly and not miss anything. Thank you, Peter. I'm doing my best. Right, one more thing. One last thing, guys. And then it's good, all right? So, let's say we've got a problem. We're really heavy. We've put on 100 tons of fuel. We want to return to an airport, but it's not time critical. So we want to dump some fuel. All right, but there's no checklist coming up.
Descent checklist.
Right. There is no checklist, but I want to dump fuel. But I know I have to use a checklist for that. Well, how do you get it? Well, these are what's called unenunciated checklists. Right, so you go to your non-normal menu, and here, unenunciated checklist. What a word. I don't know how you get to such a word. I would have put non-announced, right? Not, or I don't know, but unenunciated checklists. What a word. Okay, anyways, you click on that, and it gives you now a list of checklists that are not coming through the ICAS system. Yeah. So you see, for example, airspeed unreliable is one of those checklists. If it's not sensed, you could call it yourself. Yeah, Airbus calls it non-sensed. Perfect. In this case, the point goes to Airbus, I would say. Yeah, ironic coming from a German. Hey, Nate. I know, right? But there we go. So, yeah, jammed flight controls, ice crystal icing for the engines, overweight landing, as an example, is always one of those checklists. Unenunciated, ditching, tailpipe fire, it's also interesting. Fuel jettison, there we go. So, I would say, right, let's go through the unenunciated checklist, fuel jettison.
Fuel jettison.
Right, there we go.
Fuel jettison arm switch.
Right, so condition, fuel jettison needed, fuel jettison arm switch armed.
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 Name must be changed.
Right, so there we go. So then you would run that checklist, right? Now, I'm going to go checklist reset.
Fuel
Hang
to
on.
remain must be changed.
Right, there you go.
Fuel jettison arm switch.
So disregard. Okay, so these are called the unannotated checklists. Now, oh, that was almost the last thing. Almost. But it would be too easy if we already finished here, right? Now the document is finished, but there's one more thing. One more. Let's say we take off and we hit some birds and we get an engine problem, okay? So the engine kind of stalls. It's not dying, but it keeps stalling and vibrating, and yeah, well, it's, I don't know, it's just not really, it's not giving me any messages, right? Or maybe high EGT or something, I don't know, you name it, right? So we're saying, okay, so there's no checklist coming up, but it is definitely a severe damage. Alex thinks. So you'd say, oh, that's a okay, let's try to get this thing under control, because it's extremely annoying that the engine is you know, stalling and vibrating, and it's just, I don't know, it's going to break anyways, right? So let's do a checklist where we have some memory items, okay? So then the captain says, okay, let's do the engine severe damage, right, or engine right severe damage checklist, right? So then we have some memory items, okay? So right autothrottle arm switch confirmed off, right thrust lever, confirm idle, right confirmed, idle, right fuel control switch, confirm cutoff, confirm cutoff, and engine fire switch right, or right engine fire switch confirmed pulled, right confirmed pulled, whole checklist. Right, we secured the engine switched off, vibration stop, happy land, right? Happy days. So, now the question is though, we've reached safe altitude, we've cleaned up the aircraft, and then we go CNAR, so Charlie Echo November Alpha Romeo. The C stands for checklist. Oh yeah, checklist. Yeah, but there was no checklist here. Maybe it says now engine shutdown, right? But that's not what you want to do, is it? No, because what did we do? We said, well, it's a severe damage, but the checklist isn't there. So again, we would go non-normal menu, uninstated checklists, engine, engine severe damage, right.
Engine severe damage or separation right.
See, that's how we would call it up. So then we could go through this checklist, and it would self-sense obviously all the items that we've already done if we had done it correctly. So you see that dashed line here? Everything above the dashed line is memory items. So we would say engine severe damage, separation right, condition, one or more of these occur, airframe vibration with abnormal engine indications, or engine separation. Well, yeah, we had vibration with abnormal engine indications, so right, ticked, right? That's definitely then severe damage. These would all be green because we had done all correctly the memory items. Then it says high airframe vibration occurs, continues after engine shutdown, question, yes, no, yes. No, continues, no, disregard, continues, you see, careful, you've got to read it carefully. Continues after engine shutdown, no. Right, it would then jump to page 2, yeah. Or page 3, no, page 2 probably, all right. Then we would read all these nodes. APU selector, start on. Once you've done that, this goes green. Transponder mode selector, TA only. TA only goes green. Plan to land New York Airport, roger, whatever. And then do not accomplish, following checklist, auto throttle right, engine failure right. Continue page 3. Note, use flaps 20, rear F20 for landing, and flaps 5 go around. Note, use flaps 30, whatever. Right. So it would ask you that prior. normally what engine, what flap selection you want to do, and so on, right? Then it would say checklist completed except deferred items. Golly, another new thing to learn, right? What does that mean? Checklist completed except deferred items. Well, it means that up to this point, you've completed everything you needed to do right now. But for landing later on, there are deferred items. So it says landing data, VREF 20 minimums. Why is that important? Well, it reminds us later, after a 10-hour flight, maybe not 10 hours, but whatever. Yeah, flaps 20, right? Not 25 or 30. No, flaps 20, right? Sometimes it would say use flaps 30, use flaps 20 plus 20. ETE, we're landing in about an hour? Hour 10, let's say. 1 hour 10 we land. So that's that. And then we have deferred to landing checklist, flaps 20, right? That's the landing checklist later. So in the landing checklist, it would actually tell us flaps 20. And then once we've selected flaps 20, in the landing checklist, this will go green. So again, very clever system. Now I'm exhausted. How about you guys? Time for a nice drink. Yeah, Sammy, good flow, right? Top to bottom from auto thrust, throttle, or thrust lever, fuel control. Yeah, I've still got a bit cold. I mean, it's getting better, but yeah, my cough is still there a bit. So get an espresso. Yeah, I'd love an espresso. It'd be nice. Cool. Yeah, so guys, so that's a quick demonstration of how to use normal and non-normal checklist. Now, for my subscribers and members on YouTube, I have subscribers on Twitch, members on YouTube. As a little goodie, a little gift from my side, you actually have access to these files. So I have three PDF files right now that I've uploaded today. So feel free to download and use. Thank you, Peter. Thanks, Stickfigure. Stickfigure, nice to see you. MAN, my pleasure. Well, that means we don't have to do an engine failure because I already shown you the checklist, right? Now, what we do? Okay, but we could talk through this in theory. So, guys, let's say an engine fails. What do we do? Alex is disappointed. Nate asked, "Do the deferred items get added to checklist?" Yes. Exactly. Yeah, Nate, exactly that. That's how the logic works in this. Yeah, exactly, Nate. Yeah. Call Sully. Yeah, Nate. Yeah. So the descent will come automatically at some point, right? Because obviously, if we lose thrust, let me just do this. So if we lose thrust on one engine, right? Cool thing is the autopilot and the fly-by-wire system uses automatically rudder input, right? Ever so slightly. Here at high altitude, you can see it's a little bit, not much, but a little bit to the left here. Yeah, so now it's just a demonstration, Ghost. So you can see how the speed rolls back, but pretty slowly, all right? Even though we're pretty high up and close to maximum or recommended Jesus Christ. Oh, right, at least I'm awake now. So the Optimus 410. So we're at optimum level, but of course on one engine, right, even this beast can't fly level forever. However, you can see we're only a minute now, so this gives us enough time to put in 7700, put TCAS to below, get into heading, select, turn off the airway, and then call ATC with a Mayday call and ask for lower. Now, the important thing is that we, don't panic. That's the important thing. And that we do the following. We go to our MCDU. Doesn't sense the engine out for some reason. Let's get back to thrust. Yeah, so I mean, we would normally know about how low we have to go. So I think with one engine now, we would go level off at, let's say, 25,000 feet, okay? So let's put in 25,000. All right, then we go engine out. Why? Oh, shoot. Come on. You can do this. Dropping by the power curve here. Oh, no. This is X-plane. Come on. Oh, no. I may have to do a gradual descent to, let's say, 390 or something. Yeah, that was not very smart. So what's happening right now? Why are we not accelerating even though we're putting in max thrust, or even more than max thrust right now? Well, we are actually behind what's called the power curve. So our drag has become greater than our max possible thrust. So as we climb up, our max thrust output decreases. Right? So the efficiency decreases as we go higher, the air gets thinner. Then the area where we have a power surplus becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, if you drop, so it's like a little, let's say U shape, right? So if we are at a speed higher than the lowest point, so we are in front of the power curve, then we're good. Now, if we drop behind, it means the available thrust is just not enough to overcome the drag because of the high pitch that we've created at the low airspeed, right? Yeah, close to green dot on Airbus, yeah. So I love how X-Plane actually simulates this. So it's having a really hard time to get out of it. Now, if we do get in front of the power curve again, and it's looking like we may be lucky. So if you go, right off that lowest point in the chart, then we can actually then accelerate again. Very slowly, but we can. Otherwise, we have to trade potential for kinetic energy. So we would have to descend to achieve that again. Get in front of the power curve. But I think it's just doing it now. Yeah, I think we're lucky. Okay, so all good. Right, so, so the thing is with engine out, and now I'm not sure why it's not giving me the prompt here, because normally you don't have to have an engine failure. You can always select that prompt. Yeah, it's inop, okay. So it's not yet implemented because of some missing VNAV features. But if you do that, you can do the following. You can look at how low you have to descend, dial that in, and then execute the engine out, and then only then execute it, because what happens then is the aircraft goes into max continuous thrust. Right? So continuous. Now, I have to admit, up here, there's not much difference. So the higher you go up, the closer all of these three values, so toga, like go around or max power, continuous and cruise power settings, are pretty much equal. Yeah. So so if you do that now, have a look here. So let's let's go put the auto thrust back on. All right, so cruise power is 97.5 maximum. Continuous, it's a bit more, 98.6. Actually, that's more than I would expect it. And go around. Lol, hang on. What? Bruno. That's not right, is it? Hmm? I would expect it go around to the max thrust to be, if anything, a little bit higher than continuous. Yeah, exactly. So exactly like Bruno says, I would have also expected all three of those values normally be the same. All right. Anyways, maybe they will adjust that at some point. Yeah, but normally yes. So engine out can be self-sensed, but I'm pretty sure you always have to execute it yourself. It doesn't execute automatically, right? Wow, look at that. It's slowly creeping. It's slowly creeping forward. Which is cool. That's a cool, interesting feature. And this is exactly what will happen in real life. I'm just going to check my documents because I'm pretty sure I did some in-flight performance document. So let's have a look. In-flight performance. So I think I can show you the graph and how it relates to lower altitude and higher altitude. There we go. In-flight performance. There we go. So let me just get... hey, Luke, good evening. Yeah, I'll set the 410 again in MCP in a minute. Thank you much for the reminder. So AirPlay. I will then synchronize that. There we go. So I think you can see that, right? So you see the chart here, okay? Now the blue curve is the thrust required. So you have the two axes. The lower axis is TAS, the true airspeed, and the x-axis is drag off thrust. Right, so you can see that if you go left to right, so we increase the speed, all right, we can see that the drag initially decreases and then increases again. So the thrust required decreases first of all, so it increases first of all and then decreases. So for the thrust, it's the other way around. Now the green line here, that is thrust available. Okay? And this is obviously altitude dependent. So if we look at the crossover point here, the blue and the green line, it has a certain airspeed, right? So if we have thrust exactly at the same level as the drag, we fly at a constant speed. Now let's say there's a speed disturbance. So let's say we get suddenly some tailwind. So the true airspeed drops suddenly, okay? Now in this case, we can see that the green line is above the blue line. So we have excess thrust. It means that we can come back to the equilibrium by adding some thrust, because we have excess thrust available, okay? That way we can counteract the speed disturbance, add more thrust, and come back to the equilibrium. However, now, if we are at very high altitude, you can see the thrust available at some point with a speed disturbance is just too low. Now, it shows you how much thrust would be needed to get back to the equilibrium, but the thrust available is below the blue line, so below the drag line, meaning we're behind the power curve, right? Behind the power curve, and so we just cannot get back. We do not have enough thrust to overcome the drag that we've created flying so slow. Right. Now, we were lucky, but it taken us like 10 minutes to get back to the cruise speed. Lol, you've got to be kidding me. What? Right, guys. Okay, so that's well, we can do a checklist. I'm surprised. The total air temperature, okay, minus 34. That's pretty cold. So I think for the Jet A, is it minus 33 or minus 34 degrees Celsius? They call it freezing point, but the fuel doesn't freeze. It may get some paraffin flakes at that temperature, but it doesn't freeze. So it's a bit of a misleading term, freezing point, okay? Nevertheless, we've got a checklist. Look at this. Fuel temperature low. It's checked.
Right auto throttle on switch.
Let's reset that.
Right auto throttle on switch.
Now let's have a look. So let's have a look here now. Let's do this and this. There we go. So fuel temperature low. All right. Yeah, fuel temperature low checklist.
Fuel temperature low non-normal checklist. Checklist complete.
Yeah, Bruno, I would be very surprised if the fuel cooled down that quickly. I agree. Condition, the fuel temperature is near the minimum. Now, increase airspeed, change altitude, or deviate to a warmer air mass to achieve a TAT equal or higher than the current fuel temperature limit. So 3 degrees Celsius above the fuel freezing point. Now, it says TAT, total air temperature, increases approximately half, so 0.5 to 0.7 degrees for each Mach 0.1 increase in airspeed. In extreme conditions, it may be necessary to descend as low as 25,000 feet. So, I can tell you that for sure. Increasing airspeed has almost no effect. So let's say we increase by 0.03 Mach. That should give us approximately 2 degrees higher TAT. Yeah, but still, I mean, you know, the fuel is still cold, right? Okay, anyways, now we see fuel temperature low, checklist complete. And there we go. Now that rectangle has disappeared, we can cancel that. However, we still monitor the fuel temperature, right? So I can definitely tell you, so now that we've increased the speed, TAT has hardly gone up. Okay, so yeah, we have to descend. It's as simple as that. So let's go level, let's try 10,000 feet lower, okay? So we have vertical speed 310. Yeah, Alex. Yeah, sure. I mean, Alex, you are correct. By going very slow, the TAT gets very low, yeah? You're correct. Because TAT is dependent on your airspeed. But we can see already it's now warming up. So we try to get a TAT above, so warmer than the fuel temperature. That's the idea. Oh yes, of course. What am I talking about? It's minus. Yeah, it got me misled because of the 30. But obviously, I somehow in the back of my mind I thought something's wrong with those values. It shouldn't be that that high, that low actually. So it should be lower than this. Now, so Jet A has a minus 40 degree freezing point. So the US, we usually have Jet A. In Europe, we have Jet A1, and Jet A1 has minus 47. Yeah, so we can call this off. So let's go 370. Okay, VNAV path. Yeah, but Bruno, it doesn't ask you for the buffer. At least I think if you put minimum fuel temperature minus 40, that warning fuel temperature low would come on at minus 37. So I'm pretty sure that we wouldn't put in minus 37 as a minimum fuel temperature. I mean, maybe you can, maybe to have more buffer, but then sometimes you would get maybe over the Atlantic at nighttime and wintertime, or let's say over the North Pole when we're flying polar regions, you may then get these messages a lot earlier, right? So I would definitely put in the minimum fuel temperature according to if you got, what fuel you have on board. Hey, Gustavo. Oh, okay, so the Boeing rationale is okay, yeah, maybe that. Well, it's hard really to make out any big differences in form of system simulation and things like fault simulation. Right now, of course, if I look at the amount of failures you have here in the FlightFactor 777, that's a lot more than what you have in the PMDG, for sure, right? And I know that the developer, he's actually rated on the 777, and his intent is actually to make this a full-blown training tool. So if you're really into this, then yes, the FlightFactor definitely has more to offer. Now, also, there's a lot more variables you could change. Any interactions you can do. But I don't know if that's really necessary. Yeah. But like I say, it's so for those that love X-Plane more than they love Microsoft, and also, of course, they prefer the way the aerodynamics work here in X-Plane, how the aircraft behaves in manual flight, then yeah, I think then you would go with the FlightFactor for sure. All right, so there we go. Look, minus 30, and we're already warming up the fuel. Minus 29 now. So all good. Hey, Casey. Yeah, well, I'm not going to make this into a religious, discussion about X-Plane or Microsoft. I enjoy both, but for different reasons. Nate, definitely less than what you have to do in Microsoft, I would say. Well, no, maybe that's not fair to say, because Microsoft obviously has a lot of tiles in the background, scenery tiles that downloads as you go along. But I mean, here in X-Plane, you now have like map enhancements, and there's many free add-ons, many free airport add-ons. I don't really see much difference, to be honest. I don't think there's a big difference between Microsoft and X-Plane. Yeah, Winky in X-Plane or in Microsoft? Hey, the real Takeoff, Navint. How are you doing? Nice to see you. In X-Plane 12, yeah. And A321 Yoshi, hello to you. Guten Abend. Wie geht's? Right, we're still at the coastline. Look at that. So where are we right now? We are Virginia Beach. Norfolk Hampton Roads. Norfolk. Oh, we're in England. We've drifted far off course. We're now over at Norfolk, England. What else do we have here? We have well, Philly. Is there anything else nearby here that's standing out, like Riley or something? We could do maps. Hang on. What about? Richmond. Okay, here's Richmond. Virginia Beach. Yeah, Norfolk. We got Maryland, so Ocean View, Salisbury. Sounds very British. Salisbury. Dover. Are we sure we're still in the US? Starting to have doubts here. Not Dover. We've got Norfolk. We've got Salisbury. What's happening? Exactly. We're in the most British part of the US right now. I would definitely agree with that. Oh, hang on, is that new? When did they put this in? So you actually get the IFR, FAA high and low charts as well with the airways. Ah, okay, that's nice. I'm just getting myself a fisherman's for my throat. And then there was a question regarding depressurization at high altitude and how to manage those scenarios. Yeah, we'll go through that in a minute. Let me just get my my fisherman's here. Ah, that's better. Cool. Okay, so let's see. So 10,000 feet, right? That's something you can fly without any additional oxygen. So 10,000 feet for a normal, healthy human being has no time limit, right? So that's not really having any issues. Now, between 10,000 and 14,000 feet, you have like only 30 minutes available, all right? Because then after that, you can start feeling, I don't know, I guess a bit like dizzy or feel a bit like being drunk or something, get a headache. Interesting, 25,000 feet. So if you have no additional oxygen at 25,000 feet, you stay conscious. So, well, I mean, it's a wrong definition, really. What we talk about is useful consciousness. So you could be conscious, however, because of that oxygen deprivation, you can actually become inhibited in your actions. I.e., you most likely would find things really funny. You would feel really good. Yeah, conscious but unaware. Yeah. So it means you do not understand the situation anymore. And so you would not opt, let's say, to get oxygen. Right? All right. Huh? Why do they put paper tissues out? Oh no. Jesus Christ, what was that? That scared the hell. What was that simulation? No, it's like blowing your nose or something. Huh? Why would you program that? All right. Whatever. Anyways, I'm trying to get this closed. How do I close the flap here? Ah, there we go. Okay, so clean up the yeah, out of body experience. All right. Okay, we'll take it as it is. All right. Heard of blowing your brains out, but that's too visual. Yeah, that's true. Anyways, Where were we? Okay, so time of use of consciousness. So 25,000 feet, 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. It becomes more critical than at 35,000 feet. You only have 30 to 60 seconds. All right. So this is like a threshold where I would say, if you have, any doubts regarding your pressurization. So let's say you start feeling a bit queasy, lightheaded, maybe even get a headache or something, or short breath. Maybe it would be a great idea already to put the oxygen mask on, and then check for pressurization, right? But yeah, 30 to 60 seconds is not much. And again, we're talking about useful time of consciousness, not just being conscious. Now, at 45,000 feet, you have 9 to 15 seconds, depending on your health. 9 to 15 seconds. And that's why we have what's called quick donning oxygen masks. Right? You have these, and you practice that over and over again, one-handed. Now, there's one problem. Especially in the old Boeings, so 777s or 747, you have your headset on. Right? Exactly, Gilend. The problem is the headset. You have to get rid of the headset first, and the way I do it is just put it around your neck. That's the simplest way to do it. Just drop it back around your neck. So, and then you can put, I would always use my left hand, right? Reach over, press those flaps on the side. That blows up the how would you say it? Hang on. Yeah, the tube, yeah, the rubber tubing, right? Head straps, yeah, head straps maybe, yeah. So yeah, air would go into those head straps, extend them, so that you can with one hand you can simply strap it over your head, and then you let go of the flaps. The air goes out of those tubes, and since they're rubber tubes, they will then contract and make sure your mask has a tight fit around your face. All right. Now that takes about 5 seconds at least, right? So mask 21, 23, yeah, about 5 seconds. No, so the real Tyregoth, the problem is the following. Because of, well, assuming that of course the reason for the lack of oxygen would be lack of pressure, so your blood will not hold oxygen, right? So like a diver coming up too fast, right? I guess it's not that drastic, but I think holding, oh yeah, and of course, let's put it this way, holding your breath, especially with a rapid decompression, is almost impossible. Right? Because the air that you have in your lungs, in comparison to the pressure in your lungs, in comparison with the pressure outside or in the cockpit in this moment, it's just so huge, that difference, that you would involuntarily exhale. Yeah, so you would exhale, like it or not. All right, so yeah, 9 to 15 seconds at 45,000 feet. Now, when we train emergency descent, it's always important, especially if it's like a really, really hefty abnormal. Hey, Slutty Bud. Yeah, just realized. Just before you wrote it, I realized. Slutty, how you doing? So, when we get cabin altitude, right, we would call that cabin altitude or emergency descent. And I would always say, put your mask on. Right? So poof. And oh yeah, and another thing you would probably have right now is you would probably have fog in the cockpit. Right? Fast depressurization, so explosive decompression. You probably have fog in the cockpit right now. So anyways, you would say, oh, cabin pressure, emergency descent, put your mask on, right? That's the very first thing. So who put the question out there? Hang on, let me just see. B441. So B441, what would you think? So of course the first very important thing is save yourself. All right? Put the oxygen mask on. Remain conscious or useful conscious. What's the next issue that we have? Of course we have to descend. However, what's the real issue right now? Being on an airway, traffic, yeah, traffic below, right? So what we do as a pilot flying, there's three things, and we go right to left on the autopilot panel. There's three items: altitude, let's say 100 or MSA or a grid, whatever's highest. Heading, 45-degree off or something. Bam. Speed. Open the speed window. Why the speed? Because if it's a explosive decompression, then you could have, a door being blown out. You could have a structural issue. So you don't want to increase speed. So you want to remain at the current indicated airspeed, right? So I would actually switch to indicated airspeed. That way I have the dynamic pressure remain constant, right? So that's initial, right? It doesn't have to be exact. It's just initial. The pilot monitoring, 7700, lights on, emergency call over the frequency, ATC, mayday, mayday, mayday. Seatbelt signs on. And if the cabin is above 10,000 feet, go to passenger oxygen and press on. And last thing to do would then be over PA, call out emergency descent to the cabin crew. That means they know that you're alive and that you've taken steps now to do an emergency descent, meaning you've got to descend very quickly. Hey Stepke, how are you doing? Nice to see you. To be honest, B441, I think, well, you're not going to get outside temperature. It's going to get cold, yes, but you wouldn't freeze to death instantly. You would get cold, but I mean, you're not going to get minus 50 degrees instantly here in the cockpit. Right. So the temperature will be harsh, no doubt. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So again, why 14,000? Well, it's because that's the threshold where you do need oxygen. Right? Now, strictly speaking, if you're between 14 and 10,000, you have to have oxygen, portable oxygen available for 10% of the passengers, I think. Blah, blah, blah. So there's different regulations, but that's going to be way too complicated now to go through. But in general, I would definitely say B441, you are correct. Temperature, the dropping temperature is definitely an issue. It's going to feel horrible, especially if you're sitting here, in a short sleeve shirt, right? It's going to get cold, 100%. However, I think you would be so pumped up in adrenaline, initially you probably won't even notice. No, I mean, so the thing is, well, I mean, let's face it. So the way you would feel the oncoming air is 260 knots, right? Not Mach 0.8, right? So the dynamic pressure up here from the oncoming wind, yes, it's fast, but not 500 miles. It's 260 miles an hour. Okay. And of course, you're still sitting in the cockpit. You're still. So I mean, of short, if the window here blows out, well, okay. So then yes, then you have another problem, no doubt. So remember the British Airways 737 that where the window blew out and the captain was sucked out. Oh yeah, yeah, Bruno, you're right. There was another Chinese 320 not too long ago. Yeah, didn't the first officer have cuts in his face from the debris of the window? Yeah, Gustavo. I mean, yeah. So the 350 has a automatic emergency descent function, and the Unibuilds actually simulates that to a certain degree. So we already demonstrated that, and I thought that's quite a lot of fun actually to do. So it has that. Yeah. Yeah, I think the autopilot panel was partly ripped out as well, right? So the autopilot panel was bent or something and broken. Yeah. Hey, Mattit, were you there when we did that? That's like 6 or 7 years ago we did that on the PNG 747. I remember that. Because I showed you guys the escape routes. Oh, we got top descent. Oh man, we've been talking too much. Right, let's go 180. So we got idle, VNAV speed. So let's test the VNAV descent function here. And oh boy, we gotta hurry up, guys. Sorry, I got carried away. Bruno, thanks for the link. Let me call that up, and then maybe we can do that after landing. Quickly talk about that. Yeah, the autopilot back then said goodbye. Yeah. All right, so okay, so let's have a look at the Cameron 4. So the first restriction is hogs 180, and I think that's why it wants to descend. Oh no, we're only 140 miles out. Okay, so let's check that we have hogs. Oh, it doesn't do that. Yeah, that's a problem. It doesn't have the restrictions yet. I remember that. That was one of the big issues. So that's something they have to work on. Oh, hang on. Huh? Okay. Cameron, expect 250 11,000. So let me put that in here. I'm not sure why it doesn't load it in automatically though. Okay, guys, we do actually have JFK 80s. So we have service online, which is great. So com. There we are. Flight information. 80s request. KJFK. I have put my data in. It doesn't work yet. Okay. I'm not sure. It probably won't work. Hang on, let me just check that I've got my values in ACARS. ATC, hang on. Thanks, Bruno. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I put my data, so my hobby code, etc. in already. So I'm not sure why that's not showing. Thank you much. So 340, 16 gust 25, ILS 31 right. And the ATIS on VATSIM says 2988. 2988, 31 right, ILS. And ILS Yankee 31 right, 31 left. Okay, so route copy. So let's do legs, departure, arrival, ILS 31 right, Cameron 4 via the Kate Tot transition. Does that make sense? Cameron 3 approach 31 right, 31 right, via Catot, yeah, execute. Yeah, discontinuity is fine. Now let me just check something again. So on the arrival, expect radar vectors to final. Okay, so Cameron is the last fix. And then from there we get radar vectors. Now, I'm not sure why. Autopilot, VNAV path. Interesting. So Hawks 18,000, that's fine. And that's because of the... Oh, hang on. Let me do that again. There we go. So now we got VNAV path. Yeah, it had a discontinuity, that's why. Okay, cool. So Hogs, Pansy, cars. So bolted Hawks 180. Then we've got a Pansy, cars. There's no restriction there. And we've got Cameron. Let's do that again. 250. 11,000. It says expect, but we may as well put that in here. Huh? $11,000. Come on. There we go. Good. Okay. And then we've got the rest for the approach. Catot, 3,000 above. Maldi, 3,000 above. Zulap, 1900. Final approach, 3 degree down. 314 inbound. And then missed approach, 1,800 feet. Left turn to Mova, climb 4,000. Radio 207 out of LaGuardia. Okay. All correctly programmed. Man, I hope it's going to do the hogs. See, that's the thing. That's something I don't like, that it always kicks out the restrictions in that case. Let's get some speed brakes out to make that restriction. So, performance. Let's do show landing. KJFK. Like I said, we've been talking way too much, but no worries. Always happy to explain. 3-1 right. Dry. Wind 34016. Temperature is 24. Altimeter 2998. Hang on. Oh, 29. decimal 98. There we go. And the landing weight currently is around about 180 tons. 5 knots additional. We'll do no reverser credit, flaps 25, anti-ice off, brakes 3, calculate. We need approximately 2,300 meters for that. Beautiful. KJFK. Let's have a look. We have available 3-1 right, 2,600, and 3-1 left. It would be a bit longer. 3,428. So, yeah, a bit of coffee. So we need 2,300. So that's not much buffer, is it? I hate to say it. Well, let's do. Actually, it doesn't really matter. If you do auto brake, reverse, it doesn't really influence anything. So let's do that. Right, I'm going to take auto brake 4 in this case, 2,000 meters. We'll take whatever it gives us there. So approach speed, flaps 25. Oops. So here we are at 18,000 out. So we made that restriction, luckily enough. And then next one is going to be 11,000. And again, I'm going to put this with VNAV path, 11,000. Cool. Yeah, a couple of minutes ago we still had approach. We don't have that anymore. We just have tower now. So tower is 19.1. It's a bit of a shame, but that's just the way it is. Yeah, automatic ATC. Look at this. So it's telling me. I love that feature. Really, really cool. So there does not appear to be any controller providing clearance delivery service, blah, blah, blah. Cross Cameron at and maintain 11,000 at 250 knots. 2998. No separation services provided. Cool. How cool is that? So let's set the altimeters. Briefing, anything else special? So after landing, we're going to have to vacate left. And then we'll taxi, and I have no idea where we're going to park today. Where does American usually park? Anybody know?
And JFK Tower, November 70 Papa Foxtrot, ready for taxi, information Oscar. November 70 Papa Foxtrot, KJ Tower, thank you for Oscar, runway true and left, intersection departure, Kilo Echo, taxi via Quebec, transition November, join Bravo. And that was true and left, intersection Kilo Echo,
MAN.
Quebec, November, Bravo.
Let me just have a look again. So that's 30, that's half. That's about 8 plus 9. So that will be 17 knots extra. But normally the normal calculator takes that into account. Yeah, but that's 2,100 meters, so it doesn't really increase it by much. But yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, I mean, good point. I'll take that. That is a good point. All right, so. Oh, nice. Going to put some lights on that. Those lights look nice. I love that. That's really good. That looks good.
Descent checklist.
Hang on.
Recall.
Not yet. Hold on. Hold your horses. Hold your horses. Let me get some floodlights in here. Oh, yes, please. Nice. Very nice. That looks really cool. Hey, Andre. I think it was expected altitude just for piloting planning, but it's not hard to go. Yeah, okay, so how many miles are we away from JFK? Let me just have a look here at the charts. 15.9 JFK. JFK. Oops. Yeah, all good. JFK. So 50 miles. 50 miles. So 40 miles. It's not that to be honest, it's not that high. If we then continue on this heading here. Well, as a matter of fact, you know what? I am going to put myself like this. If there's no other traffic, I mean, we've got TCAS on. TCAS is below. We have traffic activated, so we should be seeing other traffic. There's nobody around us here. Yeah, but Tower is online. So that's the thing. So it is actually Tower 19.1. I've already selected it. Would you still do these calls like I'm 30 miles out if you have a tower controller? Would you actually do that? That sunset. Blimey.
John F. Kennedy Tower, good evening. Edelweiss
Hey, DH.
established ILS at 3 right.
Yeah, unsuitable AK. I know X-Plane really has become much better. Much better.
Edelweiss 200 Heavy Kennedy Tower, good afternoon. Altimeter 2998, wind tree 40 at 16, gust 25, runway tree 1 right, clear to land.
Clear left, 3 right, Edelweiss 200.
So next is going to be 3,000. So let me put 3,000. Let me VNAV that down. So speed VNAV path 3,000. 250 knots is fine. Actually, I'm going to select this now manually. 250 knots. Below 10,000 feet. Lights are on. Signs are on. So descent items, flaps. Oh, actually, I was going to do... You know what? I was going to do flaps 30. It's not the longest of runways. So if you do that with a combination, so flaps 30 plus a 17 knots and then auto brake 3. Yeah, I think we'll go with this. So 33.
November 70, Papa Foxtrot, wind tree 40 at 16, gust 25, runway true left at Kilo Echo, clear for takeoff.
All right, so remember, guys, what we went to do? Checklist. There's no notes. So recall. Checked. Notes checked.
Notes checked. Auto brake.
3.
Landing data.
So VREF 128 minimums. That's something I've got. Bar row. What's the approach minimums? See, that's what happens when you are busy. 220. Minimums bar row 220 feet. Set.
Set. Approach briefing.
Completed.
Completed. Checklist complete.
All right, let's do the approach checklist.
Approach checklist. Altimeters.
9.8 inches.
Set. Checklist complete.
There we go. So we're doing a bit of speed brakes here, it seems like. Oops. Lovely. FMC message drag required. Yeah, we are using drag. A bit more drag maybe.
November 70, Papa Foxtrot, frequency changes approved. Have a nice afternoon.
The change approved, thanks, C2, 70 Papa Foxtrot.
Wow.
See ya.
See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard.
Stay
the
saucy.
Captain
Thank you
Black
much for 2
Box
months.
Entertainment Experience. New subscribers should now pick up their pass to first class. Thank you.
Stay saucy. Thank you for support. Much appreciated. How are you doing? Yeah. JFK Tower, American 6244, currently 20 miles south of the point KTOT, passing 6,700 for landing, 3-1 right. Yeah, so he probably doesn't answer because
American 62424, Heavy Kennedy Tower. Good afternoon. Information Oscar's current altimeter 29908. You're well outside the constraints of my airspace. You can call me at a 10 mile final for treatment right.
That is copied. Call you back 10 miles final, 3-1 right, and altimeter 2998 copied. So information Oscar, American 6244 Heavy. All right, there. Now we know. 10 miles is good enough for him, and no need to call any earlier. So New York, I don't know if you can see that, just at the barely in the distance. That's downtown New York there. It does look beautiful. I love it. Now on my iPad, I'm going to get the taxi chart ready because I'm going to be so lost. JFK. Taxi. Yeah, once again, I don't know where I need to park. Shall we say terminal? And where's terminal? Terminal 5? Yeah, maybe somewhere Terminal 5, I don't know, so that we don't have to taxi so far. Oh, yeah, I can see a little bit better in the distance there. How beautiful. Gonna put a little bit of dome light on. I have a feeling this is just a tad dark.
200 Heavy, welcome to Kennedy Taxi left on Whiskey. Which taxiway do you enter the ramp?
Sorry, Edelweiss 200 left on Whiskey and then...
which taxiway do you enter the ramp?
We'll start slowing down here. I'm gonna go vertical speeds. So 3,000.
Continue straight ahead on Whiskey for now. Taxi left Alpha for now. Hold short of Whiskey Alpha and Alpha.
Turn left Alpha, Edelweiss 200.
Ah, I'm starting to see some lights coming in here.
Hold short of Whiskey Alpha, please.
That's the airport there.
Yeah, we'll go Edelweiss 200 and I would like to park on the B concourse.
Hey, we don't have concourses here. Terminal, would it be the Terminal 1, Terminal 8, Terminal 5, Terminal 4, Terminal 7?
You see, that's exactly the problem, I thought.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, which terminal number?
Terminal 4.
Alright, Roger, you can continue.
Oh, Terminal 8. Okay, so Terminal 8 is American. Thanks, Nate. Okay, so Terminal 8 is on the north side. Okay. Okay.
JFK Tower, November 81 Romeo Bravo.
Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Got a really hard time to slow down. So we have the ILS, India Romeo Tango Tel identified. So I'm going to press the localizer already. So we have lock armed.
JetBlue 1993 Kennedy Tower. You're
Flaps 5.
Foxtrot short of Alpha, correct? We'll go.
Right now, I have a feeling the aircraft is a little bit too clean. If I'm honest, it just slows down
200 heavy, western entrance to the ramp.
So slowly.
Taxi, what you entering via Delta?
Yeah, MAN, but the thing is that American seems to park Terminal 8.
So I'm right now on...
Can somebody have a look, please, if Terminal 8, where they have heavy stands, lock.
Otherwise, 200 heavy, hold short of Foxtrot.
So I'm going to go out. Well, actually, I'm going to intercept out of 3000s. Hey, Astor. Terminal 4. Yeah, but usually terminals are... yeah, thanks, MAN. Usually terminals are, you know, according to airlines. Look at the background there.
Kennedy Tower, Virgin 4 Charlie, ready to taxi.
Wow.
JetBlue 1993, you said you were ready for taxi?
That looks great.
Yeah,
Right,
holding
flaps
field,
15.
JetBlue 1993, Kennedy Tower, runway, tree 1 left, taxi via
Hey, Brett San. Which terminal? Sorry, Brett San.
Taxiway Golf, cross runway 22 right at Foxtrot.
Right, this approach is 4,000. Set. Oh. American 6244 is 10 miles, sorry, 8 miles final. 3-1 right.
American 6244, Kennedy Tower, altimeter 29er 8, wind tree 40 at 16 goes 25, runway true and right, cliff the line.
Thank you much. 3-1 right, clear land. American 6244 heavy. Ooh, almost forgot to arm the glide slope there. Well, I did forget to arm the glide, so let's capture it.
Virgin 4, Charlie,
Laps
runway
20.
Correction, runway tree 1 left, taxi via
Glide slope. Poof.
Yankee, Juliet, Zulu, cross runway 22 right at Golf. Golf, Yankee.
Okay, Terminal 8, thank you much, MAN, for checking. Thank you, much appreciated. Alright, flaps 25.
Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain.
Right, speed brakes armed. Cool. Flaps 30. So we set plus 17. So 145 approach speed. Let's get the aircraft trimmed here. A little slow, let's correct that.
New York Tower, confirm for Edelweiss 200, I have to enter the ramp here on the right.
Landing checklist complete. Clear to land.
Just continue holding in position.
Yeah, the tire pressure, guys, for those not aware, tire pressure is a little bug here on X-plane.
I don't know, about 200 heavy, you want to go in by hotel, you said?
It has lots more inertia,
Yeah,
Astor.
it's also fine, but hold for Fox.
It is, it's just completely different flying here in X-plane.
200 heavy, you can continue taxi to the ramp.
Take taxi via the ramp and I will enter via hotel Edelweiss.
Look at the scenery there. How gorgeous.
1,000.
1,000 is checked.
JetBlue 1993, continue taxi via Yankee, Zulu, hold short of Juliet on Zulu, please. Yankee and Zulu, hold short of Zulu.
I'm glad it's not completely crosswind, because that would be a nightmare.
Aircraft, just to reiterate, Kennedy Tower will be closing after JetBlue 1993, however, New York Center is online. Romeo Bravo, exit right on Mike Charlie, taxi left on Papa, also check your transponder. Squawk is 4213.
400.
Squawk 4213.
Approaching Netherlands.
Speed.
200. Minimums.
Continue.
American 1440 heavy, call me short of Alpha, please.
Alright, speed brakes up and no reverse left engine. Lol. Alright, let's get idle power again. Right, I'm going to take the second to the left. Well, that was work. That was a lot of work, not going to lie. Whew. Right, remember, I have a tiller. But that skyline, how cool is the skyline?
Number 81 Romeo Bravo, thank you. Continue taxi to the GAT via Papa Alpha, left on.
No, I have no. I just have SimHaven, and I have map enhancements. I'm not using any light enhancements. This is stock. So this is of course a payware add-on.
Left on Quebec to the General Aviation Terminal.
Left on Quebec for the General Aviation Terminal, November 81 Romeo Bravo.
JetBlue 1993, continue straight ahead on Zulu.
No, I'm completely lost here. Hang on. So we are. This should be Alpha, right?
American 1440 heavy K Tower, runway true left, taxi via left on Bravo, Juliet.
Just gonna
Zulu,
stop here.
runway 22 right at Juliet.
Just make sure I've vacated completely. No, it's called map enhancements.
American 1440 heavy, negative cross runway 22 right at Juliet.
22 right at Juliet, sorry, 1440 heavy.
JetBlue 1993, caution wake turbulent free sitting heavy A350, runway 31 left, line of wing.
On the way through on that JetBlue 1993.
American 6244 vacated. Appreciate Terminal 8, please. No. American 6244 vacated. Requesting Terminal 8, please.
American 6244 heavy, thank you very much. I was coordinating with another controller. Continue straight ahead on Bravo to the ramp.
Bravo to ramp. Thank you, American 6422. Right, so this is Bravo. Okay, Bravo.
221, Echo's clearance to Seoul, information Oscar. West calling, stand by.
Yeah, Adam, honestly, man, it's hard to describe.
Charlie, heavy contact, New York Center 125.
So one of the big issues that kept me from enjoying X-Plane was
West calling for clearance.
the visuals, for one,
Asiana 221.
but also performance.
Asiana 221 heavy K tower, expect clearance.
Now,
PDC information
performance
on
has
current.
increased with the last updates.
221.
And then the visuals I've improved by using map enhancement. And right, this should be the terminal here. So the question is, heavies, do they park this side or hang on. Yeah, let me park this side. I think there's the heavies, right? Yeah, let me park there.
JetBlue 1993, wind 34016, gust 25, runway 211, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 31 left, JetBlue 993.
Yeah, so with map enhancements, and then just looking at airports that are actually officially made for X-Plane 12, and you do see a difference, especially with lighting reflections, if they are X-Plane 12 approved, or if they've been optimized for X-Plane 12. Big difference. So then it comes down to the flight feel, and honestly, it is such a huge difference. So right now, I really had to work, and what I could feel if the wind gusts kind of take away some of the airspeed, the nose drops. But I felt that. All right, so I could react, add thrust, etc. These things just make X-Plane 12 just so much more realistic. Guys, I need help. Is there any heavy parking stands? Is that a heavy parking stand here? please? I have no idea. I know, bad pre-planning. Oh, these look all small.
American 1440 heavy wind at 34016 gust 25 runway.
We're gonna try number 6 here. We'll try 6, okay? We're gonna squeeze in here, like it or not. 20. Where do we pass 20? I think 20 was taken. All right, let me squeeze in here. We'll pretend we're the 320 or 737. We'll hug the terminal, and we should be fine. Goosebumps, thank you for watching. No, I don't think... Is there a fix for blurry displays here in X-Plane right now? I think it's just the add-on maker. I think it's going to take some time until... well, at least 767 could park here. I think it's going to take some time until the aircraft add-on makers... you know, get things with textures fixed. All right, let me have a look. Does this work?
American 1440 heavy contact New York.
Yeah, it works.
125.32.
Yeah, we'll stop here. This will do.
2532, have an amazing day. American 1440 heavy. You too, thank you, American 1440 heavy. Have a good one.
Right, APU is running. Shut down items. So we'll go here, 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 here. Beacon. Packs remain on. And let's read a shutdown checklist.
Shutdown checklist, please.
Parking brake
is set.
Set.
Checklist complete.
Nice. Cool. Again, that was another enjoyable flight here on X-Plane. I mean, we done one a couple of days ago from Madrid to Ajaccio. And that was also so wonderful. Oh, look at that. Look at that final picture here. Wow. MA, thank you so much. Yeah, hope to see you fly along at some time soon. That would be great. Where do I... Oh, yeah, VRAM. Give me a second.
New York Tower, good afternoon, United 517.
Right. Oh, it doesn't say anything. Hang on. Oh, there we go. So, it's this one here, right? Yeah, 18.2.
Sorry, it was, attention all aircraft, Canary Tower is closed, all aircraft contact New York Center 125.32. Who was...
I mean, that's a lot, isn't it? 18.4 out of 24 gigabyte memory. Poh. That's GPU memory. Yeah, so it's the same as in Microsoft, really, isn't it? Where if you use DLSS, yeah, this looks nice. I mean, again, it's... I just think right now it's just not justified anymore that people complain so much about X-Plane visuals. I think it's just improved a lot. Can we do... The previous version worked with the jetways. Now this doesn't anymore. Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, regarding crispiness, I mean, I would like to see some of the display. Now, here in the 777 isn't that bad regarding the textures of the prime flat display or nav displays or displays, but I think in the TOLIS, you notice it a bit more drastically. Yeah. Yeah, Peter, the thing is, again, I'm a, you know, as a real world pilot, I do care a lot about how the sim feels, how you know, my interaction with the aircraft feels. And X-Plane just gives me a much more realistic feel. That's all I can say. So, hey, Tishka, yeah, I would say the same. You know, there's no point comparing X-Plane 11 to X-Plane 12, no. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, two different sims, really. Is it Nimbus here? Oh, you're right. Hey, legend. Andre, you're a legend. Shift G. Look at that. And look how the reflections are looking. It looks nice. Yeah, Tishka, yeah, absolutely. I'm enjoying it more. Now, I'm going to plan, hopefully we're going to get a shared flight next week Monday with SimCaesar. That would be very cool. And I've been practicing a little bit in the Fearless 747-200, so that should be coming up soon as well. And then maybe with Ted Barker as a flight engineer. And then Mark at some time when he's feeling up to it, yeah, he can join us then. Captain or first officer, I don't mind. We'll see. Right, guys, it's getting a bit late. Like I said, it's getting a bit late today. Never mind. But if you guys are up for it, I'll, just for fun, just because I love playing around in DCS a bit, I'm going to go get my F-18 cockpit set up. Going to take about 10 minutes, and I'll be back in DCS running mission number 3 on the Rampager. Marco is ready. Thank you so much, Winky. Yeah, I'm glad you watched and glad you enjoyed the topic checklist topic today. Much appreciated. Thanks for all the support as always, guys. Thanks for going the extra mile, subscribing, or gifting subs as well. Thank you so much for that. If you're not interested in DCS, but you are interested in one of my next streams, either Microsoft, and I think, you know what, I think probably the PMG 777 will drop in 2024 by Saturday. So Saturday I plan to do the next regular stream, and it's probably going to be the PMG 777. All right, I'm going to try it out. I'm going to pay it for myself. I'm going to buy it myself, non-gifted. All right, so you can get my honest opinion if you're interested. Anyways, guys, my dear moderators, as always, thank you so much. Thank you very much, and see you soon, guys. Either 10 minutes or Saturday.